So good morning. We bring to you this morning the profile of the ideal graduate. Joining us today, we have Dr. Russell Booker from Spartanburg County District School District 7, Ms. Pamela Lackey with AT&T South Carolina, and Peggy Torrey with the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness. Today, we're going to begin with talking about world-class knowledge. And I'm going to begin with you, Peggy. As South Carolina continues to compete in the global economy to bring industry to our state, what jobs will be in demand for these students that are with us today?
Thank you, Samantha. Clearly, healthcare continues to grow, as we all know. Engineering is also booming in our state, both general engineering, very, very specific kinds of engineering, like nuclear engineering, industrial engineering. We also still have growth in technology, particularly in the Midlands area and across the state.
Great, thank you. And how can students begin to prepare themselves for jobs that are going to be available for them in the next 5 to 10 years, Ms. Torrey?
I think our state has really moved forward. We started 10 years or so ago with the Education and Economic Development Act. As all of you know, it required that 8th graders complete an individual graduation plan that includes real-life experiences, not only choosing a course of study and a major, particular classes, but also really getting real-world experience out there with businesses and service providers and others. We feel like that is absolutely critical. The early planning that starts in 8th grade really helps guide the high school career and beyond.
Great, thank you. Ms. Lackey, you have a diverse background. You began your career in education and now you're a leader in business here in the Midlands. Can you share with our students how what they are learning today in the classroom will translate to the real world in our global economy?
Thank you, Samantha, and I'm really glad to be here with everybody who's listening. You know, what sometimes I know when I was in school, probably like you all do with your students and your students who are also listening in, you wonder, well, how does this connect? And the way we understand that is, you need to learn the things that obviously you're being exposed to from a subject matter perspective. However, knowledge and information and technology changes so frequently today, as we've all seen over the last 10 years particularly, that learning how to learn and being exposed to as many different careers and businesses as possible is the best way to take what you're learning today and making it more practical for you. So as you're working with your students, and students as you're working with your teachers, find opportunities to get out into businesses. Frankly, to me, that is the best way for you to see what's available and how what you're learning today was connected to what you'll be doing when you get into the world of work, whether that's right after high school or whether that's after a technical college or certification set of learning opportunities, or whether it's after a four-year college opportunity. I hope you're looking for employment now while you're in high school part-time, because those kinds of experiences will really help you connect what you're learning in school to what you're going to be encountering in the world of work.
Great, thank you. Dr. Booker, good morning once again. Thank you for joining us. What opportunities would you encourage students to take advantage of while they are in school that will help them connect to the real world and prepare for these careers in the state of South Carolina and around the world today?
Well, again, let me say good morning to everyone. I'm so honored to be with you this morning, and this is a wonderful conversation we're having. Let me just preface my comments by saying that I am the father of two boys, one a ninth grader in high school and one a sixth grade middle schooler. And the first thing I would say to you all is this. I often refer to the four A's as being critical to your overall school experience. And by that, I'm talking first and foremost about your academics. And we're going to spend some time talking about that side of it. But you're very familiar with that because that's what you spend a good portion of your day focusing on, that world-class knowledge. Well, there are three other big pieces to what's going on in the schools that I would encourage you to be a part of. One of those A's would be your arts programs. So many opportunities for you to take advantage of what's going on with your fine arts programs and your visual arts programs. And those programs really enhance what's going on in your classrooms. On the athletic side of things, that's that other A we oftentimes speak of. You learn some valuable things working on a team through athletics. I've been told that 70% of our Fortune 500 CEOs were athletes. Um, so I would encourage you, if that's something you're interested in, to take part in those athletic programs. And then the other A that I oftentimes mention are those activities. And these are the many clubs and student organizations that are right there at your fingertip to take part in. I was meeting with 7 college presidents on Friday, and one of the things they shared with us was this, and I think this is very important. You need to be willing to take some chances. Branch out, get involved in those things that you wouldn't typically be involved in, and just try your hand at some new things. This is a great time during your middle and high school experiences to try new things because you never know, you know, what areas are really going to click with you. But the other thing that is so important right now is you start to take advantage of these opportunities. Um, so many kids are applying to schools now and going into the workplace, and they've signed up for 10 to 12 different clubs in high school, and they're not doing any of them well. So what I would recommend you doing, and this is what we shared last Friday in our meeting with the presidents, find you one or two things and stick with it. That's what we're looking for today. If you want to be involved in that activity, be a part of it. Be a meaningful contributor to that team. And they're looking to see how long do you stay with things these days. Are you just in a club this year and you're out of it the next year? Are you doing this sport this year and you're out of it the next year? So we're really wanting to see, when we talk about that perseverance, how long can you stick with something and what kind of contributions are you making over the long term?
And Samantha's allowing me, Pam Lackey, to add to that, Dr. Booker. I'll give you a personal example too on that issue. Look for things. We say, go try these things and sign up for them, but also accept opportunities that come along to you that you might not have sought out to participate in activities in school and outside school. For example, when I was in high school, the most probably, all my teachers might not want to hear this, but probably the most valuable experience that has taught me those world-class skills of creativity and critical thinking and communication and collaboration and teamwork, all those skills that all employers are looking for today, was when in high school I had the opportunity, and not looking for it, to participate in a group. I don't even know if y'all have them today, in Future Homemakers of America. It was part of the family learning or the home economics program, and I served as president of that group. And in that role, I didn't want to do that. That wasn't something I was interested in. I was a math person, but I accepted the opportunity, and in that role, I got to uh, show visitors around our high school, greet guests that came, serve as the face of the high school a lot of times, and it gave me the opportunity to develop communication skills and confidence that I could stand in front of a group of people and a group of adults or people that I might not have been around otherwise, and to develop those skills. So that probably contributed to my personal development, more than anything else.
Great advice. Thank you very much. Uh, Miss Lackey, I'm going to put this question to you. As a business person, what qualities do you look for when you're hiring a new employee or considering promotions of your current employees?
Thank you, Samantha. That's a really important question. As we said earlier, the world-class knowledge in language arts and math and languages and science and engineering and the arts and all those are very important. But more importantly, because knowledge changes so frequently and the skill sets that we need change so frequently, most employers today want to teach you those things when you get to us. What we're looking for are people who, we have what we call our extraordinary leader model at AT&T, and we're looking for people who can focus on results and people who will lead change, not just go along with it or resist it for sure, but who will be the leaders of changes in the business. People who have good interpersonal skills, people who know how to solve problems with their coworkers. If they have a conflict with a coworker, let's say you at your high school, you have a conflict with another student. Do you know how to solve that in a productive way? Because you've got to bring that skill set to the workplace as well. Having good personal, you're personally capable of being in charge of your own learning and being in charge of the creative ideas you need. And the most important um, piece of that extraordinary leader model for us at AT&T is your character and integrity. We have what we call the code of conduct that everybody is reminded of daily, and if we're looking for employees who, no matter what happens, know how to do the right thing. If you know how to do the right thing in any given situation, then you're somebody we're looking for.
Dr. Booker, what are some of the things you look for in your teachers, your educators, and your staff when you hire them?
Absolutely. Much of what Pamela just shared is dead on. I have 1,200 employees in this school district right now. I want people who are going to be a team player, first and foremost. I'm looking for people who are positive and will come to work each day with a positive attitude. Um, I want people who are going to be committed to what we're doing as we try to educate our children. And this applies across the board. We're all looking for committed workers. You need to be teachable. Um, we had professional development going on yesterday, and times are constantly changing. You got to be willing to keep up with what's going on. You need to be dependable. And we oftentimes talk about being a values-based leader in this district. And as I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, I have a ton of books that talk about values. So I want people who are going to come in and share our core values. And it goes back to what Pamela was talking about with that integrity piece of it. I think above all, that is the most critical part. We can teach you how to do the job, but you have to bring those intangibles with you to the workplace. And I want people who are going to be professional. And you would be amazed as I interview um, people who are coming to my office now, and everything from your personal appearance to the way you carry yourself. All of those things are critical right now with what's going on in the workplace today.
Great, thank you so much. When I'm out in business and industry and talking with partners out there, I hear a lot about collaboration, and I heard you both mention something on teamwork. And I believe the three of you have met through collaboration on your superintendent's roundtable that you all serve on through Transform SC. Why is collaboration important in the global marketplace, and what skills are involved? I'll start with you, Ms. Lackey.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. I heard a very smart man, Sir Ken Robinson, talk about this. Collaboration is important because there is not a business problem or business situation that can be solved by one worker. When you are at work in any job in this state and in this world today, there are very few jobs, I should say, now I won't say any job, but there are very few jobs where you sit at your desk in your office by yourself and solve every problem alone. You've got to have information from your teammates. You've got to have ideas from your teammates. You've got to contribute ideas and contribute data and information to a particular problem that needs to be solved or a particular new service that, let's say, AT&T wants to offer. And so you've got to be able to, number one, be persevering in producing that information and those ideas yourself, but also being willing to listen to what others have to say and to come to a common solution for whatever situation you may be talking about. So you don't, and when I was referring to Sir Ken Robinson, he made the point that in business, we don't at the beginning of the day say you go into your classroom and your office by yourself, and then every 45 minutes you're going to change locations and talk about something completely different. You're talking to each other all day long and working together on solving a particular problem during that day or during that week. So unlike school today where you're in maybe 6 or 7 different periods of classrooms studying one subject at a time in some schools. Not all schools do this anymore, but you're working together continuously. And I know Dr. Booker has classrooms who are doing that, where they're solving problems and working on project-based learning and focusing on the competencies of learning a skill, not just everybody learning it in a particular time period. So you don't do that at work. So doing it at school is not going to prepare you for the workplace.
And
And
Peg,
I would just echo everything that Pamela shared. I can't think of a single instance today in my own life, whether it's work, whether it's community service that I'm doing, whether it's church, you name it, family, everything gets done through collaboration today. And as we talk about creativity, and as we talk about being innovative, and as we talk about problem solving, two heads are better than one. And I think that's the crux of it all. So that's just life today. And if you're going to be successful in life, you're going to have to work with people and know how to work with people.
great. Thank you, Dr. Booker. Ms. Torrey, I know you work across business and industry and connecting them to education. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Just briefly, I'd say that I certainly agree with Russell and Pamela. There are very few situations in life today where you have direct authority over people. In many, many cases, you have to provide what I always refer to as persuasive leadership. And there's always the cliche of saying that if you can't be a leader unless people are following you. I would say it's unless people are walking alongside you. And you really have to convince people through persuasion and through collaboration that they want to go the direction that you need them to go. So I absolutely agree. Collaboration is key, and direct authority is just simply not available much anymore.
Great, thank you so much. Knowing how to learn is a world-class skill that is stressed so consistently across business and industry. They're looking for what they term the lifelong learner. Dr. Booker, why? What do they mean by being a lifelong learner, and why is this important?
Well, I want to tell you, the world is changing, and it's changing rapidly. It is changing every day. And if we're going to be viable members of today's society, you've got to be willing and able to change with the growing times. Um, Again, I mentioned yesterday we had 4 hours of professional development with our teachers because the way we teach now is changed. Um, at its simplest form, I oftentimes talk about my mother-in-law. She's 75. She's had an old flip phone forever, and she was not willing to change. We finally just bought her a new iPhone and forced it upon her, and she loves it now. Her life's a lot easier now. She can do things now that she couldn't do in the past. So in today's world, we just need to understand that the times are going to change. My son wants to be an architect. Well, 25 years ago, that architect had that pencil in his or her hand working. Well, today, that architect better be useful with technology if they're going to be successful. So that's the world of business. That's life in general. And we're just living in times that are changing rapidly now.
That's right. And also, too, I'll tell you at AT&T the reason you need to be a lifelong learner. We have 2,400 employees in South Carolina, 285,000 worldwide, and there are new skills every single day that those folks need to learn or to be reminded of at times for compliance purposes. So every employee at AT&T, when they look at and when they log online to our AT&T intranet every day, over on the right-hand side, there's a little dashboard that says, Pamela, here are the courses that you need to complete online that you have not done yet this year. Or it will give me my whole list of things that I need to do that for the whole year. And as I tick them off, then they go away. As I do actually participate in those learnings, either online or with a group, then they go away off my dashboard. But every day I can see what it is I need to learn today or by the end of the year. And every employee has that. So from the chairman and CEO to the state presidents to every line employee that you encounter in our retail stores has that set of learnings that they have to complete for the year. So lifelong learning is important because things, as we've said, change so rapidly. Look at what Dr. Booker just pointed to. Look at the changes in technology. You know, my employees have to know everything about how to use those iPhones and how to use those Android phones, and there's a new model every year. So there's constant learning going on in the workplace and in life.
And in life. And let me just add, lifelong learning is not just about the workplace. We all have a civic responsibility as community members. And, so going back to school, certainly that's lifelong learning. But reading on a regular basis is so critical right now. We had a presidential debate last night. That's lifelong learning, knowing what's going on with the world around you. I just want to encourage everyone to also know that you have a responsibility to be a contributing member of this society. And if you look at every last one of your school district's mission statements, that's probably one of the things that you'll find. They talk about productive citizens. So you, know, you have to know what's going on in the world around you and have that global perspective that we talk about in the program. And all of that comes with a willingness to be a lifelong learner.
Russell, those are perfect points because the vision of Transform South Carolina, which is the business community working with educators and with parents and with teachers and with policymakers on redesigning our schools to produce the kind of graduate that we're talking about. Our basic mission is to make sure that every student in South Carolina is prepared to be career, college, and citizenship ready. That citizenship part is so important, and it's not just a part of it is a part certainly of being a good citizen within your state, your city, your town, your church, all those, but also with your family. So to me, that citizenship component carries over to the family, and all these same skills that we've talked about will help you tremendously in your personal life, as well as your community life and your work life.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Uh, Moving on, Dr. Booker, how can one's self-confidence impact a student's life skills and ultimately success in their career?
Well, that's a tough question. Good question, though. Let me say this first of all. When we say self-confidence, I think a lot of times people tend to view confidence as arrogance, and that is not what we're talking about. In fact, when you are truly self-confident, there's an air of humility about you that really comes out. And in today's world, I think what people are really hungry for, they're looking for those leaders that exude that confident humility. So, what I would say to you is this: just like anything else, you have to practice to become perfect at what you're doing. Someone once said, practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. So I want our students and I want my boys, as much as they're focusing on their academics, I want them to also focus on that social assertiveness that they're going to need, that confidence when they're talking to people. Pamela, a second ago, you spoke about your experience with the future homemakers of America and how you were able to interact with adults and show these people around your school. Well, there's no doubt in my mind that that experience gave you the confidence to be able to interact with people at a large level. And the more you practice that, the better you got at it. So, simple things like being able to walk up to someone, give them a proper greeting, a proper smile, a good handshake, good eye contact, and be able to take part in a conversation with someone. We take those things for granted, but those are the skills people are looking for. And I would just say to you, you need to find opportunity to practice those types of skills. Those good old interpersonal skills that you see at the bottom of the screen on that last bullet. It doesn't just come by chance. You have to practice those things. The other thing I would say is this: you need to start determining right now what is your value system going to be. What am I going to be about as a person as I move forward? And at this point in your schooling, you need to start surrounding yourself with people who share those same values. Because those people, your friends who share those same values, they're going to be the ones to help you grow and move further. And then I also just want to add, and I know I might be rambling with this part, but I want you to also be careful about what's going on as we talk about these values. This social media can be a wonderful thing, and there's a lot of learning and communication that can take place through all of that. But be careful what you're posting on social media. I've been able to look through some of the Instagram photos of children in our school, and some of the things that I sometimes see posted. You need to understand, colleges are going to be looking at that. As you go to look for a job, they may be going and looking at your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram account. So your character means a lot right now, and you need to be mindful of what you're putting out there about yourself. So a lot of that has to do with your value system.
Russell, I would agree, and I believe y'all are looking at the life and career characteristics on your screen now. Let me just say that a national study showed that over 89% of the jobs that are lost nationally are lost because of those skills in the first 2 years, not because of lack of knowledge, not because of lack of technical expertise, but because of those types of problems. So in South Carolina, it's over 90%. First 2 years of work, people lose jobs for these reasons. And just to reiterate what Russell said, it's not if your future employer or your future college is going to look at your online social information, they will and do. It's a huge part of their decision making.
Great, thank you. Some very great points made in regards to social media and really how we need to be more conservative and thoughtful when we're using social media. Great points. Thank you so much. I often go into classrooms and when I speak to students about planning for college, career, and citizenship, there's a common perception among today's students that they're going to make a lot of money when they begin working and enter the workforce. Ms. Lackey, what advice do you have for students in regards to earning potential?
That's a great question, and the answer to the perception is that they might, but they might not, depending on what their definition of a lot is, and also depending on what career or what area they go into first. But most importantly, I will tell you that the jobs that we have at AT&T and T and the jobs that I know in many of our businesses are dependent on how much you make is dependent on your perseverance, your work ethic, your interpersonal skills, your self-direction, your integrity that you see in these life and career characteristics. In other words, how hard you work. As again, certainly you got to have the basic knowledge, but it's not so much about what you know or what you show people you know, but the results. If you heard me earlier talk about, we're looking for people who are focused on results. I've got people in call centers, who they can make the base salary, which is, I'm going to give you a range from maybe $30,000 to $40,000. But I've got people who show up every day, stay in that seat, work as hard as they possibly can, do the things that we ask them to do, and they might make up to 80,000, where somebody sitting next to them doesn't make that much because they don't work as hard, or they don't come every day, or they're out sick, those kind of things. So how much you make in your job is not dependent on what the salary that you're offered originally is. It's dependent on how hard you work and how you perform.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else want to make a comment on that perception? I have.
Not specifically to that, but going back to the world class skills and then the life and career characteristics, someone put it this way. I think it was Jim Reynolds. These world class skills, this creativity and the critical thinking and the collaboration, the communication, those are the things that will really help you land the job. Okay, that will get you in the door. But it's these life and career characteristics that will help you keep that job. And I think that's always stuck with me because I think that's so true. So that's an easy way to remember the importance of both of those elements of this profile.
Great. We've had some great advice from our guest speakers on how our students can best prepare for college, career, and citizenship today. Would our speakers, would you like to add anything else of importance that you feel we maybe didn't cover or touch on?
I think we covered everything. I would like to say that Russell and Peggy and I are kind of preaching this morning because we feel very passionately about these issues. But if there are questions that you have about and I know Samantha will tell you this in a minute too. But if there are questions you have about anything we said, or you would like to challenge some of the things we said, please send in those questions or those comments because our opinions, obviously, and our views and our experience are not the only things that matter in this discussion. What you say is equally as important. So I would encourage you that if you heard something that you agreed with or you had a question about or that you just don't agree with, if you don't agree with it, please challenge us on those things because that's how we all learn more and get better, and we need to continuously do that as well. We are continuously learning and trying to improve our point of view and our approach to this whole profile of the graduate.
One quick thing that I would add, we haven't talked a lot. I know we mentioned project-based learning. Many of you are engaged in project-based learning out there, and I think project-based learning is a great vehicle for teaching, practicing, and assessing those soft skills, those life and career characteristics that we've been talking so much about. It allows you to work in a team. It allows you to figure out your problems. It allows you to take different roles, including leadership, data analysis, and other kinds of things. It allows you to apply knowledge to real world situations. So I really encourage you, if you are engaged in project-based learning, to really give it your all because that's a way not only to increase your knowledge, but to increase these skills. And if you're not engaged in that, I would encourage you to push for that because I think it's really, really important in your development.
And Dr. Booker, do you have anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, this is a great time in your life to explore and to try new things. And I just want you to take advantage of that. If you were to sit down with Peggy or Pamela or myself right now and ask us when we were, 14 to 18 years of age, what we'd be doing at our current stage of life, I doubt any of us would say we'd be doing what we're doing. Um, I don't know. That would be my guess.
You're
Because
right.
Peggy,
You're right.
Pamela, I think you were a media specialist at one time. Now you're president of AT&T South Carolina. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. I started my career as a school library media specialist and loved it, and um, went a different way and went from media specialist to working on a statewide basis with school libraries to working to being a salesperson for sales manager for Bell South, and then lobbyist for Bell South and AT&T, and T, and now state president. So don't think that I know that people want you to plan for careers, etc., but don't ever think that where you think you want to be is where you will end up. And that's okay. Look for opportunities. Doors open for you. Those career moves, Russell, did I plan? Not one of them. They just
That's right.
happened.
So my point in that to students is this: is life isn't so much what you do; it's who you are that's going to carry you. And if you can be the right kind of person, a values-based person, uh, you're going to be successful at whatever you're doing. So don't take for granted that last part of that profile, those life and career characteristics, because that's really where the rubber meets the road.
Great, thank you so much. I would like to take a moment just to invite questions. I'm sure your students or some of you educators or maybe even parents in the audience might have a couple questions for us. Please take a moment to submit those through the chat box and we can answer those accordingly. To our students who are listening today, um, I would encourage you to take advantage of your time in middle school or high school to learn about what you're passionate about, learn about what you're interested in, expose yourself to what opportunities are out there. This can be done through job shadowing, participating in summer camps, volunteering at the local hospitals, Getting involved in clubs and organizations in your school. All of our speakers talked about the extended learning opportunities that are open to you and available. Engage yourself in a couple things that might be of interest to you and practice, and you will develop. It's an opportunity for you to learn about yourself and to develop some of these life and career characteristics that we talked about today. Any other questions? I haven't seen anything come through the chat box. If you have some questions going forward, you can submit them to me, again, through the chat box. Great. I'm glad this is good information. Thank you, Ms. McAllister. Anybody else have any questions? If you find after today's presentation that you have any questions, please email me. My link is on our MEBA website, and I can respond to you accordingly and engage our speakers today. The other thing I'd like to encourage you to do is to visit the MEBA website, which has a lot of the career and college resources available to you as you're planning. I'd like to take a moment to thank our guest speakers for joining us today and sharing with our students. For more information on planning for college, career, and citizenship, please visit our website, as I just mentioned. You will find a wide range of resources to assist you in this process, including a whole itinerary list of webinars that we've been doing for you. We have several different resources as well that are arranged through around the career clusters. So that's a beginning step for you, just to explore the different careers that you might be interested in. For example, health sciences. It'll give you a snapshot of careers, a snapshot of what skills are required, education requirements, and it'll list some sample occupations with salary ranges. These are important things to consider when you're planning for college and career, because are you going to be able to support the lifestyle you want to live as a registered nurse for Palmetto Health? This is the kind of information that's available to you on our website. I would also encourage you to join us next month as we connect once again through a webinar on financial literacy. It's called Money Matters. This is an excellent webinar for our students. It'll provide them with the ability to understand how money works in the real world. We're going to look at a salary for a couple of our trending careers in South Carolina and what kind of lifestyle those salaries will support. We have Gina Moak, who will be our guest speaker from Regions Bank, and she and I have been working on a great presentation to share with you. Again, please connect with us on the third Thursday of the month at 9 o'clock a.m., and we look forward to connecting with you once again. This webinar will be available for further viewing and to share with your parents and your students throughout your schools, and you can just visit our MEBA homepage. I was having another little technical difficulty, otherwise I'd pull it up on the screen for you. But it's www.mebasc.com, and we look forward to connecting with you again. Thank you.